Hey, this is Professor Homa. Welcome to ActionScript 3. We're going to be learning ActionScript 3 right from the beginning. It's just a different way of writing the code. We'll be using a lot of the same actions we've done before. I'm even going to use the same file that we've worked on in the past a number of times, the Lightbulb file. And this is the one where we have an invisible button and we click on the on and it turns the light bulb on, and then we go over here and it turns it off. So it starts in an off state, it goes on, and then it goes off. Notice two things happen. The light bulb turns on and the switch over here goes up and down too. So we could do both of those things. Remember, they're going to be movie clips that we're going to control, and we're going to control their timeline. So this is the Flash player example of how that works. Let's take a look at the Flash file. It's the same one we've worked in the past. There's a movie clip on stage, which is, I'll click on this again. There's our movie clip. Lightbulb MC is our light bulb symbol, and then there's also a switch here which is called switch MC, and then there's two invisible buttons which we're going to put actions on. And actually with ActionScript 3 we won't put actions on them. We're going to have to identify them by instance name and then write some code so that they can actually turn the light bulb on and off. Okay, now just to see what's inside here, if you double click on the light bulb, you can see I have the light bulb ready to turn on. So you don't have to do that. All you have to do is stop the light bulb. And in the past, you would have to put an action up here to stop the light bulb from blinking. We don't have to do that with ActionScript 3. We'll actually stop it on the main timeline. So we'll put everything on frames on the first frame. Okay, same thing here with our switch. If I double click in here, you can see the switch, the little knob goes up and down. We're going to control that as well. And the first thing we need back here is to give instance names. I'm going to click on the light bulb. I'll give it an instance name of light bulb. And there, that's called light bulb. And here's switch. I'll call it light switch only because we had some issue where just calling it switch is a proprietary name in ActionScript, so we're going to call it light switch. So we have light switch and light bulb, and not only that, we have to give our buttons instance names. We didn't have to do that with ActionScript 2, but we do have to do it with AS3. So these are invisible buttons. Remember, you won't see them when we play our movie, but they are here and we could see them when they're like light blue. So I'm going to give it an instance name. I'm going to call the first one just on_BTN, just so we recognize it as a button. And the second one we'll just call off_BTN. So those will be our button names. So everything has instance names, and we'll identify everything by instance names. Now remember what's going to have to happen here. When you click on the on buttons, it's going to make the light bulb go to frame 2. And we've done that before. Same thing with the switch. When you click on, it's going to make the switch go to frame 2, which is going to make the knob go up. Remember, here's frame 2. On the light bulb turns on. When we want to turn the light bulb off, it'll go back to frame 1, which will turn it off. Same thing with the switch. The switch will be up on the second frame. It'll be down on the first frame just as it starts. Okay, we're going to do some code. Now the code isn't that bad, but it's a little different than ActionScript 2. For one thing, we're not going to click on the, we're not going to select the button and put our code there. Matter of fact, notice we're in ActionScript 1 and 2 right now. We're going to get out of there. First thing we're going to do is go up to File, Publish Settings, and I'm going to make sure we're working in ActionScript 3. So here's ActionScript 2. If you go to do it right away, it won't give you an option to change that. You have to change the Flash player to put it up to like 9 or 10. Put it up to the highest one you can. Flash player 10. And then ActionScript 3 will be available from this area up here. So this is under File, Publish Settings. Hit OK. And now, if you went to put an action on a button, it wouldn't let you. You'd only have ActionScript 3 elements here. So that's what we're going to be working with. So what we're going to do is we're going to put all our actions up here. All our actions for ActionScript 3 will go on the actions layer. And we'll make an actions layer and we'll put it on a blank keyframe. So everything, we'll be able to find everything right there. Okay, my first thing I'm going to do, first part of our action is we're going to stop the light bulb from blinking. And to do that, we're just going to go light bulb dot stop, and we're going to put our parentheses and our semicolon, and we have to say light bulb because we're referring to the light bulb timeline, not this timeline. Okay, so if we tested our movie right now, and here I'm testing it, notice the light bulb's not moving, but that thing's moving, so we have to stop that too. So as long as we're doing that, we could go over here to and put another action under here and just call it light switch stop. And with a semicolon. So that'll be the first part of our action, just stopping those things. And then if we test our movie, we'll see that those things will be stopped and they'll be initiated when we click our button. Okay, so the first part of this is putting our button using ActionScript 3. Again, don't have to select the button, but we have to know what it's called. It's called on button. So when I go into my script up here on this frame, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to type on button, BTN, just as we named it, and we're going to go dot. And notice when I go dot, it brings up this little drop-down menu, and the first thing we're going to choose is Add Event Listener. And it's right here. You don't even have to type it. You double-click it. There's the Event Listener. And what it's looking for in the Event Listener is a couple things. It's looking for what kind of event we're going to use. And it's going to be a mouse event. So we have to type it exactly as mouse event. And then we also have to say what's going to happen, what type of mouse event. So we're going to go dot. And we do have a list of a bunch of things that can happen here. And we're actually going to be looking for click. And it's going to be mouse event.click, all capital letters. Okay, and after that, we're going to hit a comma. And you could put a space. And we're going to give it a function. The function is going to be what you call the light bulb turning on. That whole action, what are you going to call it? So we're just going to call it turn on. We're just going to give it our own name. Make sure it's not something that's being used by Flash, but we're going to call it just turn on. Okay, so once we do that, we're just going to we're going to finish up our parentheses, and we're going to put a semicolon. And this part here is called our event listener, and that basically tells the on button that we're going to be ready to do an action, that it's going to be listening for itself to be clicked, and then whenever it's clicked, it's going to run this function. This is the function that's going to run. So when we want to run that function, I'm going to hit return twice, and I'm going to go function. I'm going to identify to Flash that we're running a function, and the function is called turn on. Okay, and then after that, we have to put in, we're just going to put an E. You might say, why an E? But it's just the name of the type of mouse event, and it could be anything, but usually what it's called in Flash is either E, EVT, or event. We're just going to put an E and a colon, just a regular colon, not a semicolon, but then we're going to choose mouse event. Now you could scroll here for mouse event, or you could, there's a lot of things to scroll through, or you could just find it. Here's motion event. We have to scroll down a little bit from, here's mouse event, but you could just type it in. Okay, so we're going to finish off mouse event. So it's a function turn on. It's being initiated by the mouse event. And then we put a colon and we type void. Okay, void, you don't have to really worry too much about what void means right now. It just means that there's no value being returned. So until we actually work with values, it's just going to be void for the time being. And we don't put anything after void except we're going to start our curly brackets. And you remember working with curly brackets in ActionScript 2. This is basically where the action part of our function is going to happen, or the method. So in between these curly brackets is what's going to happen. And the thing that's going to happen, and I'll close off my curly bracket, is basically going to be, we're going to turn the light bulb on. And that is basically lightbulb dot go to end stop with capital A and capital S, and whatever frame it's going to, which happens to be 2. And that's it. That's ActionScript 3. The only difference is we're putting everything on a frame, including the button actions. We're putting first an event listener, which is identifying the on button and identifying the function, and then we're just writing the function like this. Once you get in the habit of doing that, you could add different things that's going to happen here. We could even add the fact that down here is light switch dot go to and stop. Got a O in here. It's going to be lightbulb.goTo and stop, and that's also going to frame 2. So that's going to be the first part of our function. And let's just see if that works. So we're telling our movie clips to stop so they don't loop. We have our event listener that's identifying the function. It's identifying the mouse event type, and then here's our function. And you have to make sure that this turn on matches up with that. Spelling has to be perfect. All your instance names have to be named correctly. And I'm just going to close this up, and I'm going to test my movie. And I'm going to click the on button, and then click the off button. And obviously the on button put the switch up, but we don't have an off button working yet. So we're going to finish that off in part 2.